If you really look at it, the next phase of growth, as far as Marico is concerned in the India business, and similarly international business is a similar story, is about diversification. Having said that, I think we do continue to have significant headroom for growth in the core, and we continue to exhibit resilience in terms of driving market share and penetration. For example, even in the last quarter, which was otherwise a tough quarter for the industry, more than 90%, 95% of our portfolio gained penetration and market share. So while there is headroom for growth in the core, we are cognizant of the fact that we need to aggressively diversify. And there are clearly 4-5 drivers of our diversification. First is premiumization of our core. Secondly, getting into personal care, which is male grooming, skincare, growing that. However, in the post-COVID era, because a lot of that portion of that segment was discretionary, it did suffer the growth aspect. The third, the third driver of growth is food, and food is something we are pretty excited about, and that's something which we believe that should be hitting close to 500 crores this year, and getting into we have an aspiration of hitting say 850 to 1,000 crores by 24. And the last one is digital brands, and digital brands is a mixture of organic and inorganic. And I think as far as inorganic is concerned, we have just done Beardo and Just Herbs. We'll continue to search for inorganic opportunities. Organic also we have started, because I think based on our, in terms of whatever has been our experience from Beardo in terms of learning, we now believe that there is a alternate model for FMCG brands. See what is happening essentially, this has happened in US, it's happened in a lot of developed markets, it's happening in India, is that there is at a premium end through the digital, which is through e-commerce and D2C, there's a segment that is growing. And that segment is significantly the market share, and the share of incremental business is being acquired by these startup brands. Now, for the FMCGs, traditional FMCG companies, with the current business model, doesn't work. So therefore, it have to have an alternate business model to grow. To give you an example, I keep talking about this as an example, that the onion oil should have come from us. It came from Mama Earth. And of course, we have just launched onion oil and we are doing fairly well. But I mean, they actually picked up a trend and they grew a trend. If you look at some of the, I'm just sharing with you an anecdotal piece of data. So in e-commerce itself, if you look at the mass priced products, look at any category, look at shampoo, look at our category, hair oil, or any, look at you will see in the mass segment, again, large FMCG companies, traditional FMCG still have 70-80% share. Moment it comes to the premium end, which is niche and this one, that segment is growing. It is a significant part of the e-commerce digital pie, but traditional companies may be having only 30% share there. And the Mama's, sugar, cosmetics, wows of the world will have the 70% share. So for them to do the crossover into gross, they are doing it now. It's going to be difficult. For us, the crossover is difficult because both of them require two different models, and both the models are completely different, whether in terms of, see, the core model is based on scale, repeatable model. It's about driving penetration, driving distribution, and having efficiency. The niche model is about a far high speed of velocity of innovation. You think big, start small, test and learn, scale up fast. You have a different, a kind of a, so what is the tail of the core is basically a prime, this one for these niche brands. I mean, if I look at Beardo, for example, 5,000 pieces, they do innovation. Their speed of innovation is 90 days. We struggle to do it in 8 months, a new launch. So similarly, talent, processes, compensation, everything has to be different. If you try to replicate this in a digital setup, it's going to fail. In fact, that has been our biggest learning. We tried to see, it's a very aspirational thing, digital brands. we try to get our internal people to do it, but that mindset is completely different. The risk appetite, the entrepreneurial mindset, the ability to take a low fixed salary and having a high, which is a risk pay. So that is a completely different kettle of fish, and these two operating models are different and they have to operate separately. Like even example, Beardo, we consciously kept the head, it's actually a Ahmedabad based company. We are still operating after Ahmedabad. Just Herbs is a Chandigarh based company. We have taken a majority stake, but we said let's go there. And the only things we want to get into is capital, compliance, and quality and reputation, because that's important for the Marico as a we hold a majority stake or we hold 100% stake. When it comes to the other things, they should have the independence and they should operate like that. And slowly what will happen is that operating model should percolate into our own setup so that we can do an in terms of organically grow some of these brands. But there also we have a digital business unit which we have tried to segregate, where help from Marico comes on a tap, but it is not it's not out of they are not hostage to Marico in terms of the operating model. So to me, that's the biggest discovery, that these two models can't be operated together. We are good at what we are doing. That model is good. I mean, that it needs a completely different set of. So organically, we have two brands we have started, but it's called Pure Sense and Coco Soul and Fitified. So these are three organic brands which we have started the process. So we'll see. All will not be successful, but we want to scale some of them up. See, for us, Beardo is almost hitting 100 crores. So we would like 300 crore brands in our portfolio in digital, and 100 crores makes sense. When we talk 100, we talk net revenue, not GMV, but GMV wise, we are miles ahead. But and I think we have to develop the organic capability. And for us, I think these acquisitions are learning for us to develop this organic capability. This is a growth opportunity because the consumer space is evolving towards that. If I look at US, for example, if you look at in US in cosmetics and beauty, a brand like Glossier and all, we have really, there are 3-4 brands in that space which have acquired scale. India also, you are seeing Sugar, Mamaearth, Wow. There are brands in this space acquiring scales, and I believe in D2C, personal care have a bigger right to win than foods because of the nature of gross margin and the AOV or the average ticket size. Okay, now if traditional FMCG companies don't participate in a market that is growing, they are losing an opportunity they're losing a future growth opportunity. And let me tell you something: if we don't participate in it, and then they acquire scale in e-commerce, they would tomorrow cross over, as you were mentioning that some brands were crossing over to the GT and traditional brick and mortar channels like organized retail, and tomorrow challenge and drive a share of pie or a market share of traditional this one in there. So it is a future threat. So if you don't participate, you are losing. It's like future. And as I said, that tomorrow a digital capability and investing ahead of the curve, just like, for example, in e-com, our contribution is one of the highest, and we consciously invested ahead of the curve just because of the fact that we believe that if we don't do it now, tomorrow it will be today is a source of competitive advantage, tomorrow is a source of something with that will become a laggard.